From the Captain's Quarters podcast, proudly brought to you by Captain Coop's Beard Company. For all your beard needs, take care of your face hair. Beard oils, beard balms, beard butters, all available at CaptainCoops.com, and a plethora of new items coming very soon. And by the way, just for listeners of this podcast, you get 10% off your next order at CaptainCoops.com. Simply use the promo code podcast10. You get 10% off. Use it at checkout and save. CaptainCoops.com. The program is also brought to you by Everything Hemp LLC. They have D8, those Delta 8 products in stock and ready to ship. You got to give them a call. Get yourself taken care of. They'll ship them out to you. 715-532-4367. That's 715-532-4367. Otherwise, check out their website, everythinghempllc.com. If you need your CBD oils, your body rubs, your muscle gels, all the things, they have it all. everythinghempllc.com. My buddy Jeff is back, and it looks much warmer where he is at than where I currently reside in Wisconsin, because he was wise for so many different reasons, but said, you know, the Midwest is great, but bye, I'm leaving.
Yeah, man. It's kind of with, I'm assuming we can curse on here.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let her fly.
Let her fly.
Yeah, dude, it was one of those things where I think a lot of things too, people kind of get comfortable. You know, they kind of just, they stick in that mold, and it's like, I don't know, shake it up a little bit. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Then you just pivot back home to where you were.
Right.
But yeah, we did it just because a lot of factors, like seasonal depression is a real thing. You know, humans need vitamin D, and that was a win. I mean, it is called the Sunshine State. So sounds kind of nice. I'll take that. Big thing is too is like owning a business. You know, the big one is like tax purposes, tax breaks. You know, and I think with today's climate, you know, not to get political, but if anyone knows me, I'm more the conservative. I mean, I run my own business, so it's kind of like take matters in your own hands. And I have respect for people's decisions on this and that, but at the end of the day, I don't have respect for people telling me what I can and can't do. Yeah. So we're talking politicians. I go, they don't give a shit about us. So if you can wrap your head around that, which is fine, but be realistic with, they really don't care about your bottom line, because they really don't.
Right.
And just understand that and go, cool. Well, what's best for me? What's best for my family? Because those people don't put food on my table, right? So, you know, and the weather sucks in the Midwest, bro. Like, yeah, like if you hunt, that's cool.
Right.
Like this and that, but like, dude, we've toured all over, and you know, I had a buddy that kind of like brought me down to like the Tampa, St. Pete areas where we're at, and I mean, I don't ever live with regrets, but I wish I would have done this 5-6 years ago, man. Right. I mean, it's amazing. Like right now, every day is 75 and sunny. Like, it's awesome, and live right by the ocean, and it's like it wasn't easy, man. It was difficult. Yeah. Like the move alone, we could go into that, just how hard that was, because it's not only, because moving just sucks. You know, it's like, what did they say the top 5 stresses? Like divorce, job, changing jobs. Another one is moving. Right. So, you know, it's like relocating the whole business, but also we're content created. You know, like the whole business is curated on social media. So it's like, how are you selling clothes in weather that's 30 below for 4 to 5 months? Like it just, it just makes everything so much harder. But then it's kind of, you have a little more respect for the process. Like, hey, if we've gone through hell and back on that, shit, man, we can make anything happen. You know what I mean? So the move was great. Just people seem happier down here. Let's just put it that way. I mean,
I've been down there, and 100%. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're coming soon, right? Isn't that right?
We're coming down. We went down there, and to back up with my story a little bit is like, I spent 12 years in a relationship, and we never went anywhere. Like we never did anything. It was a lot like what you were talking about, with you kind of get into a very static routine where you go through the motions, and your excitement becomes like really small things. Like, oh, Friday night we got to go out to dinner, and you're like, and that becomes like, your Facebook story for the week. Right. And so, and
my kid did this. It's like, cool.
Right. Look, it's Johnny's first day of school, and look, it's the morning picture, and it's the after school picture, and it's his first meal after his first day of school. So, went through a lot of that, and really, after 12 years, and obviously, as you know, I spent many of those years in radio, even with a career like that, which did bring me personally some exciting times. I mean, I think that's where we probably first met was at a concert, was at Rockfest, was at a show over in the cities. But I think you get so into your own bubble that any experience outside of that is almost not reality.
Right,
like,
right.
Like, oh my gosh, like how could Jeff pick up his entire business and his family and leave? You know, oh my gosh, it seems like it's something that should be filmed on a reality show. But you get when you get a chance to get out of, say, a toxic relationship, and you get a chance to experience life, you know, with somebody else, or life where you're like, you know, I want to go and do things and experience things. That was really my first real big trip. Was down to Florida, and it was earlier this year, and we got down there, and I was like, everybody smiles, everybody's so nice, you know. Outside of, I mean, we went to, you know, we were in Naples, so besides the fact everybody was wearing pastels and white shorts, like, and there was no, like, there was like 3 people with tattoos, like, we were just so amazed at the differences in attitude and mentality. At that point, obviously, this was earlier this year, so coming from the Midwest and going down to Florida, you're like, these motherfuckers are living down here. Like, they're
and the big thing is too, is not getting political, but if people would just kind of like go with common sense thinking, right? It's like, again, you can believe this, believe that, but whatever the case is, like, you know, my wife got her job taken from her not once but twice. And I go, okay, that was like one of the big nails in the coffin. And I'm like, what the fuck is the bottom line here? Like, I was on board in the first couple weeks to months, you know, with all this. I mean, I've been in the health industry for over 15 years. So it's like, when I see people talking about this and that, and I'm like, dude, you're morbidly obese. How about you, like, focus on your diet and your nutrition? Oh, wait, good sleep. You know, again, not to go on it, but it's common sense. Like, notice how none of that has been talked about. You know,
that surprises me maybe the most.
Stressing, right? Eating good, getting sleep, like, don't eat like shit. It's like, these are the things that are going to make you live a long, healthy, prosperous life. And, you know, and also too was the vibe, man. Like, in Minnesota, it's just toxic. And it's like, everyone's complain. It's so cold. Woe is me. And I'm like, I don't roll that way. I go, everything that I have is because of decisions that I've made. And then, you know, you start implementing. I apologize for that ping. That's just my phone.
It's all good.
I'll shut that off. But, you know, it's one of those things where you just kind of like, it's like enough's enough, man. Like, you know, and then you come down here and the guy who's running this state is just all about, you know, middle class, being an entrepreneur, going for your dreams. That's the people I'm going to put my chips on, like, tenfold. And it's like, any governor or politician that says, Jeff, you can't, I'm like, fuck you. Like, hell, I can't. And then that was like enough. And then the tax breaks, dude. It's like, it's a no-brainer. It's like, I literally live across the street on the ocean. And it costs me less living here than in Minnesota.
It's insane, man.
Like, sign me up. Like, so, you know, it was a lot of it's luck, timing, this and that, but it's all, like, even in business, it's just execute, man. One foot in front of the other and go. Like, there's always going to be the what if, and, oh, is it going to work? It'll work out. It'll always work out. You just got to do it, man. Just go for it, you know?
I want to touch on a couple of the points that you brought up. And again, it's not necessarily a political show, but it's when you have, I think, a mindset that is, take life by the balls and do the things that you want to do with it. Not saying that automatically puts you into a certain political arena, but I think you do need to.
It can, right?
But you do need to understand when you're into it too, when you understand things like taxes and the ability to, you know, free enterprise in a state like Florida and all these different. When you understand the nuanceical things about it, it makes a little more sense. But when you talk about all the shit and knowing that, I mean, Iron and Ink Fitness, I mean, a guy who went to school for kinesiology obviously has been to the gym, you know, a few times, probably today. Like, you understand that it's not just about aesthetics. It's not just about, you know, the way you look with your shirt off. It's about, like, this, I don't want to feel like shit. Like, I don't want to get sick. I don't want to not with fucking COVID or not with the flu. Like, I don't want to be sick. I want to make sure my vitamin levels are at a certain level. I want to make sure.
I mean, the shit hasn't changed since 20 million decades, right? It's like, if you resistance train, eat, a balanced diet on, X, Y, and Z like factors, those have never changed. Everyone just tries to reinvent the fucking wheel, and it's like, dude, the wheel's been the same.
Yeah.
So it's like, minimize or don't do alcohol, things like that. Like, it's crazy to me. But again, it's like, you're the one that's responsible for it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't blame anybody except myself for my wins and my losses, right? And I'm just sick of victim fucking mentality. I walk the other way, man. Like, and then people like, oh, you think you're better? I go, no, but if that's how you think I think, then fine, so be it. But it's like, I don't lose sleep, dude. I'm 37, and it's like the best peace of mind where I don't give a fuck what people think anymore. Like, and I say that in a very positive way because people like think everyone actually cares. I mean, people are intrigued on what you do, but just do you, man. Like, and that's the cool part. That's when people are like, oh, I like this guy. He just does what the fuck he wants to do, and that's inspiring or motivating. You know what I mean? Because people got lied to, bro. Like, I'm 37. People were like, and I'm very grateful. Went to college, did my thing, but right now, if you said go to college, I say fuck no, not a chance. Like, I would be learning about investing, how to start a business, what happens with my money. I mean, it's crazy to me. Our school system's so broken that, like, how do you not teach anybody about finances? You just teach everybody to go into debt, and then that's it. It's like, when you start learning, right, like owning a business, I don't know shit, dude. I'm dumb as hell, and I'm very curious though. Like, even today, my accountant, I asked her like probably pretty dumb questions. I don't give a shit. I pay her, so
she has to answer no matter what.
Yeah, and she's like, valid questions. I said, what are the tax breaks that I'm getting? Being over 6 months in Florida from Minnesota. She broke it down. I go, well, that's a no-brainer. She's like, yeah. Being in Minnesota has basically no value for anyone to have a business in that state. Technically, in the Midwest, she said. Besides North Dakota, you're kind of fucked, But she said it is what I mean. For example, she moved to Arizona, but her company's based out of Minnesota, right? She had enough. She's like, I'm done with this, and I'm like, good for you. So, yeah, man, it's nothing's easy in life, and usually I typically kind of notice a trend. Like, if it's more difficult to do, it's probably the right thing to do.
Absolutely, and I think you touched on a point that we all were fed. I'm 41. We were all fed the same lie. We were all told the story about here are the 4 things you need to do, but you can do whatever you want with your life. You can be whatever you want to be, and then you get to a point, and they give you like 4 things. Like, you can you can do anything you want, and here they are. You can go to school and go, be, or you want to become a doctor, or you can go to school for even longer, or you and I'm much respect to all of our military personnel. That is an option too, but it's also sold in the caveat is, but we'll pay for your schooling.
Yeah,
like nobody says, go in and like, what do you really want to do? Like, I want to take pictures of fucking waterfalls. Cool, that could be your job.
Yeah, Alec, who works with me, is ex-Marine, and he's just like, there's no one that's like, yay, I can't wait to go be in the Marine Corps. No, it's like, dude, he's like, I got a free ride to this, and I was kind of a fuck up, so I went in, and I go, cool, know? And, it is what it is. But, it's like, I just feel, back to the education and stuff, it's like, when it's all said and done, like, it's really like life is way more simplistic than people make shit to be. Right?
Yeah.
It's 2 things: pay your fucking taxes and vote. Besides that, no one gives a shit. You can literally do whatever you want. Like, and if you think about it, like, people get so weirded out. It's like, oh, you run a clothing brand, but like, what do you do? I go, that's what I do for my job. And they're just like, what? It's like, well, I mean, it took years, man, to like finally pay myself and actually like, do it as a full-time career. But I'm like, there's so much more what we're doing with the brand. Like, building kind of our fantasy factory is our envision of like having the gym not open to the public, but we have a buddy's a barber here in Florida, like get the barber shop in there, have a full bar, have like the experience and have the shop, and like people from all over come down, check it out. I mean, it's like we had to plant 1 seed at a time. It was get out of Minnesota because it had no benefit of being there, but we learned and we grew. Once we grew to a certain point, we pivot, but we have the same branding, same everything. We're meeting people, dude, down here, like shops, like wholesaling crushes out here.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Like, our brand is getting in a lot of the surf and skate shops because Minnesota doesn't have that shit.
Yeah.
And here you walk down the beach, dude, there's surf shops everywhere. So it's like, people are covered in tattoos. It's like, let's negotiate, get some stuff going. And next thing you know, business is booming in a different way, right? So it's cool, man. Like it's just, I mean, it's tough, but I love it. I love it out here. It's been amazing. And, I'm really glad we made the move. And now it's like, let's get to work. Let's get going. So,
any entrepreneur, especially one who's, you've been in the grind, you've been in the shit, you've been, was it 2014? I think that the brand,
yeah, like around
officially
2014, like in the apartment, like with a box of t-shirts,
Right. So, but things start off
Mhm.
and it's a grind. And like you said, you don't pay yourself and you go through all the bullshit.
No.
And I think is that the point that you got a lot of the questions about, like, okay, this is neat what you're doing, selling t-shirts out of your apartment. Like, did you get a lot of, and again, a guy who doesn't care what people think, but the outside influence of people saying, like, okay, when are you gonna, put that college degree to use? When are you gonna, this is fun, this is a fun habit, but but you actually have to keep after it in order to be successful. And obviously, we see where you are now. But how much resistance and negativity did you shut out from the outside world when you were building, your empire?
Yeah, man. No, it's a great question. I mean, a lot of times too, I think, again, it goes back to that individual, like you, me, where it's like, are you allowing people to treat you like that?
Yeah.
That's the real question. So if they're around your circle and they're doing a bunch of this in your ear, you need to look in the mirror and go, I need to reevaluate who the fuck I'm hanging out with.
Exactly. Yeah.
And who I'm around, right? And this goes to parents, dude. I don't care if it's your mom, if it's your uncle. I don't give a shit. Like, I love everyone's like, oh, blood, it's family. They're some of the most toxic people potentially.
Yeah.
In your circle. Like, I hate to break the bad news, but people are like, well, it's your cousin. I don't give a shit. Like, he's toxic. He's not a good person. Right. And that's that Midwest thing that I just never rolled with. Like, I'm all about family. I have a really good relationship with my brother, my mom, my dad. But it's where people let their judgment and their conversation and choice literally ruin what they were about to do.
Right.
And it's like, you have to be strong-willed and believe, like, anything, any foundation from podcasting to Joe Rogan, like, you just keep going, man. There's no, like, this finite moment. It's like, it's back to the line with college. The word retirement doesn't exist in my ether.
No.
Like, what the fuck does that mean? So I'm going to go sit my ass. I already can sit on a beach all day. So it's like, but people think there's this like definite end. And then they know what it is. Then you're going to get bored. And then you're going to start doing dumb shit. And you're not going to have fulfillment in your life.
Yeah.
You have to be striving for something, dude. If it's just staying busy, whatever, being busy is good. Everyone looks at it like, man, you're a workhorse. You work yourself too hard. I feel like I can do 10 times more.
Right. Yeah,
So,
you feel like there's nights when you're sitting on, maybe you take a break, you sit outside, and you're like, fuck, you have an idea, and then that 3 minutes of sitting outside turns into like, hey, hang on, I got to go and take care of this, or at least do a brain dump and get this out. But you do have, this, again, part of the original, the great lie that we're sold is that college, and then you get the job out of college, then you get married, 2.5 kids, the house, and then your 2 weeks of vacation a year, and then you have this fucking golden nugget, this token, this light at the end of your life's tunnel that is called retirement, where you're like, you get here, when you then you start living, then you start enjoying life, and you're going, wait a minute,
when you're almost dead,
like
wait, that makes no sense.
All the good years,
yeah,
I'm busting my ass, working 80 hours a week, doing all the things to get to a point where I'm 65, 66, my body is broken down because during this bullshit of a life that I was sold, I've been kicking my own body's ass and not taking care of it. Now I'm 66. And, this is great. I love this. Now what do we do? When's the fun start?
And that's the thing, right? Is like we've had moments, dude, that have been really tough, right? And nerve-wracking and stressful, but you just have to kind of like remove yourself, step back and go, dude, look what I'm doing.
Right.
Like, I'm not sitting in a cubicle, and no knock to that. If you like a 9-to-5 grind, working for a corporate company, and someone else, cuts your paychecks, and you just do what you're told, and you're a worker bee, good on you. But like, school is for worker bees. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
And what about all the stuff that actually is important? Like, everything that we learn now is like, accounting and this and that and finances and investing. It's like they teach you none of that shit. So I'm just very a curious guy. I question shit all the time, and I'm like, well, why does that have to be the way? And then everyone's like, well, everyone else says, like, fuck, I'm going the other way then. Like, fuck that,
Right.
you know?
Don't follow the
And it's not,
signs.
yeah, it's not being like rebellious. It's just like people need to give a shit a little bit more. I mean, dude, this all can be gone tomorrow,
Yep.
you know? And it's like to do something that you enjoy and also people opt into all over the world, and it provides some type of fulfillment or joy for them. I mean, that's the win right there, man. Like, you can't, it's not, I used to be kind of, money, right? Get more, get more. Well, dude, you're always going to be spending money. You always have to, improve. You're always growing. It's funny. It's like the more money I have as a business owner, way less I spend.
Yeah.
Like, dude, my shit's minimalistic. Like, I
Right.
have a car that's good that gets me from wherever I need to. Nice place with my family.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't need the fucking house with 4 cars and like this and that. It's like, dude, I'm not trying to like impress all these other people.
Yeah.
It's like I reinvest into Iron and Ink. I take the money,
Yeah.
funnel right back in to buy more product, create new, this, new that, and to keep the wheels greased and keep the train moving. You know what I mean? You can never get stagnant. And I know we've always been there, but when you're in a standstill or like stagnant moment, that's when you need to get like off your ass and do something.
Right.
You know.
How much do you think that
So,
because you are passionate about what you do,
yeah.
about the company, about where you're at with the company, about its growth, how much does that play into how you spend money? Because there is, I think, again, part of the package deal that you're sold coming into school
Right.
is, yes, you have the things, but then, that person that has the $70,000 pickup truck,
Right.
with all the things, like somehow, because you take that vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
12-minute commute to work, that's like a fulfilling, like, I get to go to this place I fucking hate going, but I get to go in this pimp ride.
Right.
But when you have a passion to go to work, it doesn't necessarily matter the means of transportation. It doesn't necessarily matter, obviously, you being in a tropical paradise.
Right.
It doesn't matter, because you're like,
I mean,
it
doesn't.
suck.
It doesn't. It's to the. I think like to answer that or jump in on that is like, if you get enjoyment out of like sick ass cars, dude, like good on you. Like
Right.
if that's what brings you fulfillment, cool. But then don't bitch that your car payment is $800 a month.
Right.
Like if like it's just one of those things. Like it's like, but I don't knock people like that. Like I like certain things. I like cars. I like this. I like that. But it's like, I have money in tattoos. Which that's thousands and thousands of dollars. But it's like I like that investment, right? I feel well. One, it's my business, for the investment side. But
Right.
I thoroughly enjoy it, right? But yeah, man, it's like I don't knock people for it, but it's just kind of like, that shouldn't be like the end all be all, right? And I think it's kind of interesting when you see certain people that are like, oh, I got this car. It's like cool, but it's just, I don't know. There's more to life about, every day when I go into work or do something for the brand, even on bad days, I get excited.
Right.
So I'm like, well, I'm clearly doing something in the right direction, where I've like, this is fucking fun, man, and it's like, we just had a killer Black Friday through Cyber Monday, which sets us up, we're going to do something right before Christmas, but it sets us up for the year, going into 2022. And it's like, dude, it's just the people we're meeting, all this stuff, man. It's like, my thing is being patient, and I've been better at it because like thinking of the new compound, like the Fantasy Factory vibe, getting more into wholesale out here in Florida. Like we're a noob. We get a ton of following now. Like, we get a lot of orders to Florida, locally, and it's big out here. Local and supporting like local is huge. So yeah, man, I mean, it's like, it's almost like a fresh start, we needed to move. We just had to do it because, again, people get complacent, and again, not knocking Minnesota, but after the riots, dude, it's like, nah, it's like, I'm good, man. Like, I can't, go to Uptown and go out to dinner with my wife because it's completely destroyed. It's not worth it, man. It's like, and then your tax dollars are going back into rebuilding the city. I'm like, I feel awful for anybody that live down there, but it's like, I need to go, where positivity is. And again, it's your environment and the people in your world are what's going to bring that positivity. And the second that it starts getting a little shaky, gotta go. See ya,
Yeah. And you got to, obviously with a family there, that to protect, and also as a dad to be able to, make the decisions not only for you, but for the business and for the future. You have to look at everything that's involved. Obviously, we talked about the tax breaks. We talked about, a brand like yours and how it's flourishing in Florida, but also the environment that you're like, man, I really want my child to be going to school or to, experience, the park or, all these things when you're kind of concerned yourself about, the hostile environment. And then you have obviously a lot of mentality that is very, it's so bad, the defund the police thing. It never stops. It never ends. That the whole victim, and they just continue to tell persecution that they stay in the war. They stay in the battle zone.
Dude, they're packs. Like they roll together, right? And it's like, name one, and success is very subjective. It's different to other people's opinion. But someone who got to do what they want to do on their terms, which is people in people's eyes, whatever line you tote, you go, that's success, because truly it is. None of them went with like, oh, they're telling me to do this, so I have to do that.
Right.
They go, no, why do we have to do that? That doesn't make sense. So it's like, and you can call it what it is. It's not being negative. It's actually giving a shit about my life and my family's life. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, love my wife to death, but she was kicking a little bit. Like, she's very close with her family. She wasn't all about it, and I understand. But I look at like 5 years ahead, 7 years ahead, which goes like that, by the way.
Oh, yeah. It's quick.
I'm like, Minnesota is fucked. We need to go. And already, lowest COVID cases in the country, Florida, highest in Minnesota. I mean, it's just, how much more evidence do you need across the board that like it was the right decision, you know? And with the band guys, it's easy. Like if we need to do music, I mean, dude, this is a 2.5 hour flight, like everyone's like, you're moving across the world. It's like, no, dude, it's literally 2.5 hours straight south, direct flight, no big deal, And so, with the music stuff, it's easy too. Like music nowadays, bands don't ever hang out or they're barely together.
Right.
Like most bands are like, cool, man, here's an idea. Cool. I'll fly in the drums. Here's the guitar. It sounds great. Bing. There you go. Done.
Yeah. There was, and it was like that before. I mean, that technology existed before, but I think, given the state of the states over the course of the last 18 months, that has been expounded upon. And I think almost, I don't want to say more creativity, but when you're not all in the same group, you're not all hanging out in the same, well, you're all going to have the same viewpoint and the same vantage point and the same tone or the same, here's what I hear. If you're all huddled in the same circle, you have, I have a vibe down here. Like, dude, this Florida vibe, it kind of hits me a little bit differently than it did in cold ass Minnesota, So all of a sudden you have this new creativity involved with music.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's, it's mainly because the four of us get along really well and we don't need to see each other all the time. But writing with us is very simplistic now, like where Cade comes up with a cool idea and we just vibe off it. We're like, oh, and our rule is we'll never put out something that sounds like that we don't like. That's simple. Like we really got over this whole, like, what do people want to hear? It's like, you'll never answer that question because some of the biggest hits are Trashville, like songs, like, but it's place, time. You don't know the politics behind the scenes, who knew who at the right time that pushed this track and, whatever. So it's the music world it's kind of like anything, man. You just got to do whatever you want to do. But the main thing that all correlates with everything is consistency across the board. If I put out some clothing and I'm like off the grid for months, people lose trust in the brand and what you're doing. You stop posting on social. You stop just behind the scenes. You stop this or that. And people just go, well, he's not investing in doing shit, so why am I going to pay money for his shit? You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with the band, man. There's no difference. Or podcasting. It's all the same.
Yeah. So when you look at all of the elements of, especially Iron and Ink, and then you involve the music scene too, because I think there is, just looking at the brand itself, there is a musical it vibes with a rock alt, kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, did you talk about people doing exactly what they want to do and doing things how they want to do them. It feels like with your enterprises, everything is like, here's all the shit I really like.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Like, I feel like you should write not the script, but that kind of open-mindedness. Like, here are the things I love. I'm going to write down all the things that I love in life,
Right.
whether it's music, whether it's tattoos, whether it's working out, whether it's, kick-ass clothes and, badass gear. I'm going to put them all into this basket. And instead of picking one, like you made like a giant Play-Doh ball and you're like, here, I'm going to do all of the things.
Yeah, I mean, dude, to be honest with you, I could put some corny ass bullshit on a shirt and make way more bag right now. Like, it's just not worth it. It's like I have also like quality, not of the product, but of the branding of what it is. Like, I'm not going to just set myself up to just go, I need to make a quick dollar. It's like, I want to be along for years, like the Volcoms, the Hurleys, the whatevers, where people like, damn, this dude's still going. Like, and that's literally like you're crushing 80 to 90% of your competition right there.
Yeah.
That's in everything, man. That's podcasting, that's clothing, that's music. Anyone can try to like fight me on that, but that's a fact. Because what people do is they want all the glitz and glam, and they think that you don't deserve shit.
Right.
Like, you literally don't deserve shit. So it's like, but the cool part is, you got one of these, you got social media, you got this. It doesn't really matter right now of the following, but like our ad spend, but like it takes time. It's just, we got some things in the works right now that with some big name fucking people could flop. But I'm not putting my chips on it, right? I'm not going, this is a sure deal. Like in the music industry, this is going to be a number one hit now on. Like, it could,
right?
But I'm not like being negative. I'm just being like, cool. Like, let's put that out. Now move on to the next one. And I just think, again, if you make it more simplistic, things just run more organically and smooth. And people really, I hope, at least me as a consumer, because we're all consumers, I really sift out that bullshit a lot quicker and easier. And you can smell it a mile away. So you're just like, this is phony as fuck. Like, they won't be around in a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you just have to care enough to, I always say in business and just life, like, put myself in a consumer's shoes that opts into me.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, why are they opting into Iron and Ink? Like, what's the reasoning behind that? You know what I mean? I think it's just care, man, giving a shit about what you're doing, and people like that because we're really not that different from each other. It's just people their intentions are good. I want to do this. They do it for like a month. I'm not getting the ratings I want.
Right.
Okay, moving on. It's like, you didn't even scratch the surface, dude.
Well, I think people, and this can go in music, and this can go in entrepreneurship as well. As people see the glitz, they see the glam, they see a company that's got
reel, dude.
They see it. Wow, man, they got 100,000 followers on Instagram, and they're doing these cool ass. They're fucking doing photo shoots for their product on the beach in Florida because Minnesota sucks, but they see that and they're like, I want to do that, and they may not even fucking want to do that, but they see the way that you're doing it, and they're like, man, I like the way this looks. I'm going to come up with maybe these ideas, and I'm going to. And then they get like 3 months in, and it's like, well, how come I'm not like, I don't have 100,000 followers yet. I don't have my fucking house by the beach. I still, live in BFE, Wisconsin. Like what? Like there is a fucking process.
But there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you like.
There's not. By the way, I'll be in Florida in 4 weeks, and maybe we'll leave, maybe we won't. I don't know. It's stranger things have happened.
I'm telling you, like my mom's flying in tomorrow, and her and my dad are like, all right, we're gonna head that way. I'm like,
dude, my mom did the same thing. Not to get off on my mom tangent, but as soon as I graduated high school, which was by the fucking skin of my teeth, but she was like, fuck this, I'm out. Like she started in North Carolina, and then now she lives out in Northern California, which she lives with that regret every day. But she's like, she made a decision, and it took me a long time to like fucking understand it. I'm like, well, if you wanted to be around, like, then I'm like, wait a minute, like she's like living life on her own terms,
right?
she regrets the fact that it's California now, but she loves it.
Yeah, dude. And the thing is, if you don't do that, what's crazy about it is scary. But when you do it, what's so like kind of liberating in a way is you're like, oh, it's really not as bad as I thought.
Right.
That's the cool part, you know. And then, sorry, I don't know. I shut that off.
That could have been me too.
So it's, you know, that's like kind of the cool part. And then it's like, you'll get through it. And then then it's back to like staying focused. Like, I mean, I think the other thing is too, is if I think about the business and the brand every second of the day, 24/7, 365, I think I found my thing.
Yeah.
You know, and is there doubts? Sure. I mean, any big brand or company has some sort of doubts or ebbs and flows. That's totally normal.
Yeah.
And if you can come to the realization that that is okay, you're going to win because you're kind of like pivoting off that going, okay, it's okay to feel this way, but like, let's go back to the drawing board. What are some things that really did well? What are some things you took more risk on that kind of backfired that we should maybe pivot off of? You learn, right? And the only way you learn is by executing. Yeah. My biggest thing is I hate when people talk about shit. Stop telling me about what you're going to do. Just go do your shit.
Right.
Like, and then come to me when you're like, dude, I've been like doing my thing. I'm like, hell yeah, man. That's awesome. Like, then we have a conversation to talk about, but like, I want to start a clothing brand. I'm like, you sure about that? You do? Like,
you've been down the road.
I love it. You know, I love what I do and I wouldn't take it back, but it's like, oh, you want to start in a band? Like, then go fucking do it then. Right. You know, it's like, Rob Bailey talks about that with Flagner Fail. He's like, dude, I'm so sick of people just asking me, you know, what do I do, Rob? What do I do? It's like, dude, you just got to like, you got to do one thing after another and just keep it moving, you know? There's always something you can do, man. That's the cool part is like, even with anything, you know, they're like, I don't know what to do next. I'm like, anything will pivot you in the right direction as long as it's for that business entity.
And if anybody, the answers to the questions, you have a robot in your hand, maybe on your wrist, maybe in your house. They'll be like, how do I form an LLC?
Well, that's like the sad part, to be honest with you. It's like getting to the point where people are just like, they're so just, like, what did someone ask me yesterday or a couple days ago? Something about a business. I'm like, I don't know, man. Google it. And they're like, oh yeah.
Huh.
I'm like, dude, come on. Like, if like you got to put effort in somewhere. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just a believer. Shit's very linear. It's like, if you put effort in, man, and keep pounding the pavement, it's going to go. It's just, can you hold out to when you're at that moment? Which,
exactly.
Again, I think the coolest part is that there's never a moment of stopping. It's just, holy crap, look how far we've come. And I think that's a good, fun indicator. Like, look at like where you're at right now to when you first picked up a podcast mic, you know, or like for me, when I bought my first batch of blank t-shirts going, what the fuck am I doing with this? You know what I mean?
No, man, I get it. And I think when we launched the beard company, like back in 2019, and like, I didn't have any fucking idea. Like, I don't know. You know, it was a friend of a friend who was like, well, you've been in radio for 20 years. You got let go. Like I was on, again, I told you, I was in that, you know, bad relationship with radio. And was like, had like 6 months where I was like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know. I want to do something. Like I have these ideas and kind of like drawing everything out and throwing it in a hat and saying, here's the shit I want to do.
Yep.
So, but when it started, like I didn't have any idea how to form a, I think we lost you. Oh, there he is. All right. Hey.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry about that.
All good. But I think when you want to be able, when you have the concept, the ways to make those steps and to make those pivots, they're out there. Like the answers are there. Like I didn't quit and go to school for like how do I get my entrepreneurship degree? Like how do I figure out
dude, that degree is such shit because like it's just a money grab for schools. Because like at the end of the day, school is a money grabbing industry.
Right.
Like besides doctor, lawyer, maybe hair. Like what my wife does, because you have to have certain credentials on it. But like personal training, kinesiology shit, that's out the window because nowadays, like I can go online and get a cert a day.
Yeah.
I'm legally a trainer. Well, there you go. So it's
always wanted to be a trainer. Guess what? You can do it online now in less than a day. But 100%. The answers, I think, that's when people are in the community of entrepreneurs. I have noticed this since being in it, you know, for a couple of years, is like, if you have a legitimate question or you want it, like I'm working like the Shopify thing, like I get it, but hey, I noticed that you have this like really cool like integration thing. You're like there is a willingness for people who understand that other people are working, that they are at a point where you were at one point.
Yes.
Like, how do I make this happen? Now,
yep.
Not give me the whole batch and recipe and tell me how to do it, but I'm just, I'm grinding away, and there's this little nuanceical thing that I need some help with. Like, that community is there. Like, I needed when we first got certified, or we first got our LLC, we had to go through a bunch of shit because we're working with, topical products. I had a buddy who was like, I got a guy, who can really, the legalities and stuff with the FDA, like we can like really, like he'll get you the answers. Like that community.
We all got
is
a
out
guy,
there.
bro.
Yeah, every I know. Like all of a sudden
It's
I got
awesome.
guys. I'm like, I didn't think I'd ever have a guy, but that community is there for those who are willing to do the work, to put in the effort, understand it's a long game. There is not an end point where you're like, I can't wait to get to where Jeff is, because you're constantly on the move. There is not an end game for you. You haven't reached that point where you're like, cool, I'm here now. I'm at the top of the mountain and I'm just going to rest on my laurels. No, it's the line continues to move. And if you have that mentality, like there's no end.
Well, and that's the exciting part. That's what I look forward to, is just the fact of like, I don't want to have an end point, dude.
No.
Like you have this end point, and then, then you're just like, oh boy, well, I guess we're done. It's like, no, man, like when you hit that top, or like, I think it's great to have a vision board. I think it's great to have goals. Hit those, and then it's kind of like, to be honest, it's not an arrogant thing, but you feel like nothing, like anything's possible. Like, and when you can have that, it's a good feeling, man, because like you have a very open mindset about negotiating. You have an open mindset about, I'm a huge believer, like you're one person away from pivoting your entire existence.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a true statement. Like you'll meet one guy or girl, somehow, hey, I knew this guy that knew Coop that knew this guy's cousin. Next thing you know, you just connected the dots and you were able to be on your A game at that moment. Everything fucking changes.
Yeah.
It's literally like that. It's like you didn't change your podcast, you didn't change your brand, you didn't do anything, but it was just like something aligned. But you can't wait for it. You have to also be like a snake in the grass, constantly moving and pinging off different people. And I mean, dude, we moved to Tampa and St. Pete area, and like we worked with our screen printer Ed, love him to death, still have a good relationship with him, but we had to cut ties because it all boiled down to the bottom line. Like I have a crew out here that's literally 2 minutes from our office, and I get the same quality product for half the cost.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like money's money, bro. Like I can sit there and pump out more shirts for our customers of more colorways and variety on any given day than I could back home. Right. Also, too, our big popular thing with the brand is our custom tie-dye that we do. Everyone's in the tie-dye game, but we do this crazy marbling that is pretty rare. Not really a lot of brands do.
It's fucking rad too.
Well, thank you. And it sells out quick, and that's awesome. But we're back on that heavy now. After Black Friday, we're already in production. Well, we have one of the best dye guys in the country, and we found him. And guess how we found him? Through our screen printer. It's his homie. And I go, wait a minute, what does this guy do? Oh, he's like ex-military. He's been tie-dyeing for 20 years. I said, well, he sounds like the guy. So we met with him, and I'm like, dude, the stuff we had before was good. This is like next level. And so right there is a perfect example of, we needed a dye guy. And it's just by me, I can talk to anybody. And so like, I was like, Adam, who's the guy? And he's like, I got your guy.
Yeah, everybody's got a guy.
Yeah, dude. I should put that on a shirt. Everyone's got a guy.
Who's the guy? I got a guy.
I got a guy.
Do you remember? As I was thinking about this the other day. The first time that you sold one of your shirts to somebody you didn't know. Do you remember that feeling? Like.
Yeah, I actually don't remember his name, but I know he was in Michigan, because I'm from Michigan originally. I want to say his name was Mike, maybe. But yeah, first shirt we ever did, man. Crazy. Put up the website, ping. I'm like, huh? didn't even know what it was like when an order comes in on your Shopify,
Right.
and I'm like, whoa.
See,
Yeah, man.
We had a bunch of shit that went out. Like it was like, you know, I got family who's all, you know, bearded up, and they're like, yeah, you know, well,
Yeah.
so, I had family that didn't have beards. They were like, yeah, we'll buy some of your oil, and I don't know, put it in the cupboard for when we have guests. But so I knew everybody. Like I saw this shit coming in on Shopify, and I was like, oh, cool. My cousin Josh, you know, is up in you know, by Minnesota. My cousin Nick, who's down in Southern California, like cool. And then like it was some guy in Colorado bought like $70 worth of stuff, and I'm like, hey,
it's cool, man.
There's this moment where you realize that, like, okay, now I want to repeat this feeling. Now you want to grow. And I think when you talk about, you know, expanding the brand and getting to the tie-dye stuff, like, there's always something else. There's never a point, I think, when you have this mentality that you're like, cool, I want to do these 7 things and then I'm fucking good. You're like 7 things, and then you're doing those 7 things, you learn something else or you see something else, and you're like 8, 9, 12, 25, you know, all these things that you can put your fingers onto. And I think when you have that mentality, it doesn't stop. It doesn't turn off. We probably both look at social media when we're viewing it ourselves with a different eye than, you know, Peter, Paul, and Mary looking at home. You're like,
100,
huh,
dude, I don't.
Interesting interpretation of that.
Yep. I mean, I put out content. I don't dive too much into my personal life because it's like I like to keep that private, and it's not a bad thing. It's like I'm super proud of my family, my wife, our son, and this and that. But people just like, you know, it's like they hate social media, but it's like it's I love it because it's the fact that I have a marketing team that's technically free, and the only thing I'm paying for is me and our team, what we post and curate content, create content, but then pay for ad spend. Right. So obviously that costs $1 amount, but you know, it's like, I'm super thankful, man. Like Alec and I were at the office after like Black Friday, looking at the orders that came in and all this shit. There's countries I've never fucking heard of that were like on our website shopping. And I'm like, that's crazy, bro. That like some dude in like Sri Lanka is like, oh, I want a hoodie. And I'm like,
it's cold.
Okay.
There. Like, I think it's cold in Sri Lanka.
Right. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, I also don't get hung up on when you were talking about like there's always something to do. I have learned from other business owners and stuff that it is okay to have a business and get rid of it, right? To pivot off of it, to acquire a certain amount of capital or equity on that business and go, hey, you know, I did what I wanted to do. I'm going to now pivot left and not continue. And I don't frown upon that. For me, I'm looking at like, I know Iron Ink can be around for as long as we want it to be around.
Right.
And it's like any other brand, right? But I want to start bringing in the individuals, like, you know, say one dude or a gal that worked for Billabong or O'Neill. Like out here, one of our buddies, you know, he works at a screen print shop. He worked for O'Neill, the surf company, as a rep. So it's like, now we're getting in the real good stuff. That's what I want to like curate those people's brains, because then they see what we bring to the table. Because business is very simple, dude. I don't care what it is. It's both parties or whoever it is have to benefit, period.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, there's no other like, oh my God, like you do this. I didn't know. It's like, if this person has something and this person has something, how can you both win together and get what you need? And that's it. And then that's business 101. It's pretty simple, but people just get emotionally involved, personal bullshit, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, we, you know, like, for example, I don't take it personally, but we know guys locally that have connects at the local surf shops.
Yeah. And
I'm like, hey man, I'll put you on payroll. I'll give you commission. You just have to be my middle guy. And, you know, they drag their feet, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to do it myself then. But the main thing is, I wanted to be like, I'm going to dangle this carrot in front of you and realize what you're missing out on. And I will come back to you and be like, hey, by the way, you fucked up. And I'll call you out on that.
So sorry about that. Yeah, you're bad.
In a loving way, but it's like, hey, man, I get it. You have your own personal stuff, and people can't care more about the brand than me.
Yeah.
Right? People that follow it, but you have to build the community, the field of dreams mentality. If you build it, they will come. But dude, like your beard oil, right? What I get off on and really enjoy is our repeat customers.
Yeah.
The people that have been there from like the past 4 years, and every time we do a drop, they're buying Iron and Ink. They're buying it. It's like, shit, man. They're like, they get a paycheck, they drop $200. I'm like, here's a free hoodie. Here's a free hat.
Yeah.
Like, and then they're just stoked. They're like, oh, dude, you don't have to do that. I'm like, it's the least I could do. Trust me, just things like that, man. Cause that means you're getting to the real core of like that following, right?
Yeah.
We don't want people that buy us once and then they peace out. We want people to be like, oh, that's dope. Like, I bought a hat from them a year ago. It still holds up. These tie-dye hoodies are sick. I got to buy one, or something. So,
well, there's something about that relationship. I mean, especially when you're talking about in apparel brand, because I mean, Black Raffle Coffee, like, it's the same. Like, if you are willing to buy something on repeat and be like enthusiastic when your idea, Jeff's idea, Alex's idea come together and you make a new drop and somebody's like, fuck yeah, like, I'm on board with these fellas and what they're doing. And not only is there a benefit for you because they're wearing your stuff out, but it becomes a part of their identity. I mean, you are a 100%. Part of their lives, and that relationship is, they love when you put new content up, or man, it's super cool that you're taking these photos on the beach, or they become that introduction to other people. They're like, damn, dude, that's a dope hoodie. Or with my girlfriend we were talking about coming down. I'm like, oh yeah, my buddy Jeff lives down there. We're gonna stop and because we're coming down to St. Pete, and she was like, oh, dude, these fucking yoga pants, because she's a yoga instructor. I'm like, no, but you develop this like this close knit relationship with your clients, your customers, and they become part of like the family. Like,
they are, man. And I think where it gets kind of dicey on that topic, great, part right here is Alec and I get hit with the daily. Hey, I want to be a part of the brand. I want to be AKA I want free shit.
Right.
And I go, dude, this is money out of my bank account that produced this shirt, that produced this hat. Like, we need to get an ROI somewhere on this shit, you know? And it's just funny to me when people sit there and how can I be a part of it? And I'm like, you do realize buying something is the best way to be a part of your beard oil, your podcast listening, subscribing, my clothing brand. We're now getting back into our podcast because the move and it just wasn't good timing. And now we're going to do it all in and just shoot the shit and have fun with it. What are expectations? I don't know. But there was a lot of people hitting me up going, dude, love the podcast. That was great. And I'm like, really? Awesome. Cool. Well, we'll keep it going, because I love doing it. So why not, And so, yeah, man, it's just, going back to, the main point where we're at, my brain just went off.
Having that support from people that are like, I want to support you. Why don't you send me a free hoodie?
Oh,
and I'll support you. Like, well, supporting me is supporting me.
Yeah. And then that's people that don't have skin in the game. That's people that literally work a job they probably dislike. Mm-hmm. They've never put any risk into what they do, and they just won't understand. Now, do I fault them for that? Absolutely not. But I will definitely, in a polite way, say, hey, man, we respond to everybody. It's either me or Alec or someone on our team doing it where we're like, hey, if you want to support us, like, here's a discount code. Like, try the product. And then they see like the brand or like what we're printing on. They're like, damn, this shit's nice. It's like, there's a point, there's a method to the process. Like, we're not printing on Gildan t-shirts because they're dog fit shirts. It's like, that's the thing is like, we won't do that, and nor would I want people spending their money or be known as that. Like a good buddy of mine that he's our barber out here. He is part of the brand, and he met a cop today. And speaking of Black Rifle, he walked in to buy a coffee because they have the ready to drinks now, which they've done that years ago. It was genius. But he bought a couple of those, and the cop's like, oh, they start talking. And he's like, oh, what's that shirt you're wearing? I really like that. And it was Iron and Ink stuff in a hat. He had like a snapback on. He's like, oh, it's my buddy's company. It's great. He cop all tatted up. And he's like, oh, I'll check it out. And he's just like, open your phone. Like, ding, ding, ding. He goes, then he does this shit's really cool, like doing the scroll. And it's like, he's basically sold right there. And then it's funny, he's a barber, and he goes, dude, the cop dries off, and I didn't even tell him I was a barber. I was
and you could have cut his hair too. That's awesome.
But like, that's the thing is like, my buddy here, he truly gives a shit about the brand because he believes in me and Alec. Like that's the thing. It's then the clothes are secondary. It's like you believe in the dudes running the business, and then it molds into their identity of like, I can vibe with these guys. Like I could hang out with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's not just like really cool shit. I mean, there's the brand behind the brand between you guys.
Yeah.
And obviously, because you care so much about the things that you're putting out, I think that almost by putting that hat on or putting that hoodie on or putting that shirt on, people are like these motherfuckers care. And I would rather support somebody who cares than going on to like getting that Gildan t-shirt from, Dude, I always question when I was fucking doing radio and bands would send me shirts and I'm like, oh, thanks. Like I could tell who cared. I could tell who cared and who didn't.
Well, you know why band guys print on Gildan?
Well, because they're $3 a shirt.
Well, it's cheap. It's even less than that, but it's cheap. But also, too, I'll give them this, Gildan, because it's so rough, it prints really well on the screen print, but it fits like a bag on you. Like it's awful. So if you're trying to look for something aesthetically pleasing, don't go with those. Yeah. But yeah, bands are wising up. They're printing on like Bella's or Next Level or something a little bit better,
And that process seemed like that has become a little bit easier, because it's tough for artists too, especially depending on which level you're at. You can't have a shit ton of overhead just like hanging out. You'll have enough stuff to go to, if you're running on a tour or something like that. Yeah. But just to have like random people ordering T-shirts on your website, it's like, But they, places have streamlined that a little bit easier. So
a lot of companies do direct to garment where it's like based on, they want this color and they have 50 colors to choose from, which then you're getting your stuff 2 to 3 weeks later. But, I mean, that's a big thing for us too, is like, besides this black on black stuff we did for Black Friday with pre-order, I mean, we get stuff out the same day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if we have 100 orders, 55, 5,000, you need to push those orders out. And the other thing is, as a business, the sooner I get them out the door, I get the income for that.
Right.
Because that's how Shopify works. It's like when you click, it's shipped, and they scan that tag, money goes into the business account from that order. But until then, I don't get shit.
Yeah.
So
you're just looking at the number on a computer screen like, oh, I guess I could have that if I ship this out.
Yeah, dude, and that's one of my biggest pet peeves with even big companies. They're like, oh, we're gonna wait till we have a bunch of orders because USPS only comes by this time 2 times a week. It's like, dude, go the post office across the street, drop off the orders, like get them out. You know,
get a guy.
And people really appreciate that because you're going against Amazon and people that are just monsters. That like that's just expectations now, man. If you're waiting longer than 5, 6, 7 days in the US for a hoodie or a t-shirt, you're fucking up. So
probably also shopping on Wish a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, this came 6 months later. I forgot I ordered this shit. Oh yeah, well it wasn't quite what I ordered anyway.
Yeah, dude, I'm serious though about like back to that thing about just people supporting and stuff. I mean, it's like we met a guy here, like you kind of hit on something, and they're from Chicago and they moved out here, relocated, and they're like, Chicago's effed. Like it was the best decision we made. So they live like 2 blocks up the road from us, husband, wife, 3 kids. And he bought just what do you do? He thought I was a tattoo artist. I was like, oh no, I have a tattoo, like streetwear brand. And he was like, oh, busts out his phone, adds me on Instagram. He's like, oh, this is so sick. And we just dropped that like kind of play on of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the pirate.
Yeah, very cool.
And right away he's like, dude, this is sick. And he was just like, bing, bing, bing. Dropped like $240, $50 on clothes. And then, he said something that really made me feel good. Like on days that maybe you like don't feel so hot. He's like, man, this is cool because I'd rather support someone like this than an Under Armour or a Nike that's just like, it's just some rich athlete who just is wearing it because he's collecting a paycheck.
Right.
Now, I don't knock that athlete for doing that, but it's like, people nowadays want the Black Rifle coffees, the Iron and Inks, the brands like Violent Gentleman. That like the VG guys do exactly the same shit we do. Yeah, dude, you need one of my flags back there.
I'll get one.
I'll send you one. I'll send you one.
I'll grab it when I'm down there. I'll come down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Stop by the shop and I'll hook you up with one. It's got a giant panther face on it. It's black and red. It's pretty sick. Yeah, I'll hook you up with that. But yeah, like those dudes are doing the exact same thing we are, but they curated like the tattoo hockey world. I'm like, it's rad, dude. It's awesome what they're doing. And, it's just one of those things that I feel people want that. They want the dudes who are running the brand, and that's what they want to purchase. They don't want Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Now, is there a market niche for that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, the 45, 50-year-old dad who's just like, I'll wear the Costco Under Armour hoodie, like doesn't give a shit about how he looks like. It's like,
right.
Cool, that's not our demo. But, I just feel in business across the board, like, why is Joe Rogan so hot? Like, every dude wants to aspire to do shit like him, and every girl wants to fuck him. Like, It's just pretty simple. Like, but he's just a dude, and he's just like, you know what? Tattoos, fucking owns his shit. He's kind of a goofball.
Yeah.
He's out there, but he doesn't give a fuck. And it's like,
Zero.
dude, that's the best attitude to have. And I always say, don't give a fuck in a positive way, where it's like, and not to be dramatic, but you have one life to live, dude. This is it, man. And it's like, I'd rather go all in doing what I love and create something than just go, well, I'm gonna work for someone else. Because I did do that though. Yeah. I did work the corporate ladder and shit. And I'm like, hell no. Right. Like, just not worth it. So maybe it's how I'm wired. I have no clue, but enough's enough, and kind of you just go, all right, let's make things a little bit better. So,
and I think cool. To touch on what you said about people who gravitate towards brands like you guys, like Black Rifle, like the Violent Gentleman crew. There is something, and I said this majority of my radio career was I enjoyed more bands that are tangible, that are real fucking human beings that you see out in the crowd or in the bar. That, and I get people will fangirl over stuff like that a little bit, but they're just like they're out doing them, and there's a realism to them. I watched several bands, when we were at Rockfest, that would stand in the, play during the middle of the day, but would stand in the fucking merch booth for hours. Just got done playing it. Yeah,
that's us.
Just like you, which just hours and hours, and the line would be short, then it would be long and short, and they would just fucking stand there. I'm like, that's what makes me want to go and purchase your music or to go and buy a T-shirt, because anything after 7, like, I get it. Like, congratulations. Like, super proud. You don't need me to buy your $90 hoodie that I probably won't wear. But, there's just something about that. So I think nowadays there is that attraction to a brand that has, you're out there, you're the fucking guy wearing the shirt, you're a part of the imagery, on social media. The same thing with Violent Gentleman, the same thing with Black Rifle. They're out doing podcasts, they're out talking about their business, and they're not just solely talking about their business, they're talking about the business of business. What makes it real? What makes that relationship so important between the client and the company? And I think that's where people are like, man, I'd rather fucking give you my money than jump on Amazon and be like, here are my keywords. I work out, I have tattoos, and I like beards. Chicks are cool. Like, I'd rather go like, find me that shit, and I'll pay somebody who I know is out there and like fucking gets up in the morning and is super excited to go to work because he's got creativity just flowing through his body, man. I love it.
Yeah, dude. It's. I mean, I think that's the golden ticket, man. Like that's it. And then what you can do with that is limitless. Like, and then financially, you can get endless money. Like, you can monetize anything. So it's like, you just have to have a belief system that, almost in a slight fucked up way, kind of delusional.
No, yeah, 100%.
And it's like good delusion, but then like anything I like though, like you hear, dude, the best part is hearing other entrepreneur stories, and you're like, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There you go. Like, just hang in there a little bit longer, dude. And like, I think one thing a lot of people in their head is like financial freedom is kind of the number one thing, like where you never have to think about money anymore, where it's like, you can literally do what you want, spend what you want, and whatever. My curiosity is not only that, but how to, because you can always want to get more and things, but like, how can you make your money work better for you? That's the huge win. And I think, when you start doing that, then you start realizing your bottom line and how you can pivot your brand quicker, in certain avenues. But I mean, I've got a definite like blueprint vision of where we want to take it. But like I said, man, then once we hit that, it's going to be like, let's go do this. It's going to be even bigger. Crazy. I mean, the exciting thing for me is not only the people, Coop, that buy it, but like, dude, every order that comes in, we're super thankful. Like, and we don't just say that to sound cool. Like, we really do. Like, we write thank you notes on all of our orders.
Same thing. Handwritten, man.
Stuff. It's like, but the big thing is like, too, is new people that have like never seen it. I love, dude, I love the reaction when they're like, oh, this shit's fucking sick.
Yeah.
That means we're doing the right thing. We're doing our fucking job. And also, too, we owe it to the people to not quit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, I'm not a quitter on shit. And that's like, for me, like, I've fought so hard to get this off the ground.
Yeah.
That, dude, you'd have to take my fucking limbs off my body to, like, even think about me, like, considering ending this shit. Yeah. So, with that being said, it's like, I always say, hey, man, we're just getting started, but we just pivoted. I know we pivoted in the right direction. For a lot of aspects. I mean, even our photographer moved down here. Wasn't easy for him, but Corey's a phenomenal talent. And I'm like, dude, you're not even tapping into your shit. Like, I give him advice. Like, he's an introvert, you know, but I'm like, oh, Corey, you're so... Like, just giving him examples of, like, how much money he lost being in Minnesota over Florida.
Right.
Now, being in Florida, you're going to have to build your business back up. But once it gets moving, man, you know, then you appreciate it a little more. But yeah, I mean, dude, no joke, because of COVID shutting down Minnesota and like Florida being open.
Yeah.
I mean, roughly, like, you're looking at $20,000 to $50,000 just because of the state you live in.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's that simple.
Like, and so it's like, dude, I mean, how much are you going to keep getting fucking your face punched in the ground? And you're like, all right, let's go. You know, that's why, like, it's crazy. Like, dudes like VG and stuff, I know they're having talks about this because they're in California. It's like, what are you doing? Like, go to Texas, bounce. And then they would kill it out there. But, you know, it works whatever you want to make it work. You know what I mean?
And I think that's always been the great thing about these kind of brands, like your brand, you know, the brands we talked about, is that there's always this openness. You're not so far dug in to the ground that you're like, well, even though this would be super beneficial for us, we're not going to do it because fuck it, we live here.
Right.
You know, there's an openness to be like, okay, let's look at these things. I mean, you picking up out of Minnesota and moving down to Florida, first off, I was like, fuck yeah, dude. But then I'm like, how cool of a story for Minnesota, because it will be a story for Minnesota. Like, Iron and Ink, you know, they started here, and, you know, and then they outgrew the state. Well, we sucked too, but they also outgrew the state. So there's always the story that always continues are the stories of successful entrepreneurs that just keep the ball moving forward and analyze everything and go, this would be super beneficial for us to do it. This idea is going to be really successful. Fuck, let's try it, and why not? You know?
I mean, dude, wait. It's like logistics, and it's like simple shit. It's just like, well, you got to get a moving van. What's the cost of a moving van? Okay, do research. What's the cheapest company? What's this? What's that? And it's like, just curiosity is what's going to curate your win. Right. That's it. And then it's just, you know, you kind of move forward, and then you met with this person, and now you're doing this and you're doing that. And it's like, then a lot of times too, you have to reassess. That was something I learned big this year, was like, doesn't matter about COVID, all that shit, because people are still buying shit online. It's more of like, we have to not just keep going forward. We have to also like look back and be like, hey, dude, this and this crushed. We should reissue that, you know, and redo that again. Like, AKA, wink, wink, our custom dye shit was just game changer for this brand. I mean, we're talking like first hoodie set sold out in 10 minutes.
Jeez.
Gone. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, and then people are like, there's no larges left. What the fuck? And you're just like, oh shit.
Sorry.
Like, and it's a good problem to have. But then it's like, also we got, you know, we wear so many hats, so to speak, and we don't have a massive team. And like, like people are like, you don't have 50 employees. I'm like, why the fuck would I want that headache?
Right.
Like, I pay employee tax, and it's like, we got a couple people involved. That's all we need. Now we have people we hire out that do stuff for us. But actually working in the office, no, man. Like, I don't need that yet. Will we get to that point? Sure, we will. But, and again, it's all what you want to make of it. But again, I always kind of have to say, we owe it to the people that have spent their hard-earned money on this brand to keep going and keep providing them with cool shit. Really, it's that simple. And then get really cool people involved with it. Like, I love, like, I used to, I guess when I first started, you know, you compare, right? That's the big thing with entrepreneurs, is like, well, this guy's got this, and, you know, I deserve. Well, no, take a couple steps back and actually, you know, pay homage to them. Go, congrats, guys. Like, and then my brain goes like, we should work with VG and do a collab ASAP, right? But VG guys like, nah, we have a little bit bigger following. It's not all about Instagram numbers, but it's like, maybe there is something there. For sure there would be. You know, I mean, there's actually a funny story. 2 of their designers worked for us when they left VG. Small fucking world, right?
Crazy,
so it's
man.
like, yeah, and at the end of the day, it's just maybe there's a ton of people that follow us that don't follow them. And they're like, dude, we just scooped up this new thing. And like VG's even trying to dabble into fitness shit, right? It's like at the end of the day, it's hockey's a sport, you know, like what we do is like motocross, whatever, skateboarding, it doesn't matter. That's why we made this brand is we don't want to, we're only a skate brand. We're only a fitness brand. We can be all of it. You can be a meathead with no neck, or you can be the dude with, you know, never touched a weight in your life and you do motocross. It's like this shit you could rock. You know what I mean?
Totally. Man.
And yeah, man, it's, I just look at trying to, perspective is everything, like really turning your head and like, don't go the negative route, but like, how could we work with these guys to then both parties benefit?
Yeah.
You know, because we're only one person away, man.
And I think being open to that is big too, because I had an issue with this, and maybe you did too, especially in the beginning, because we were still in our infancy. Is I wanted to fucking hold on to everything like it was the last goddamn thing I was gonna do. Like I want to come up with all the scent profiles, and I want to come up with all the labels. I want to come up with the design. I want to come up with the imaging. I want to come up with the marketing. Then I'm like,
let go,
man. It's so, you know how much fucking more creative I can be if I'm like, you handle the production. Like I will pay you to handle the production of my stuff. I'll worry about the things I'm good at. I'll put people in place who are good at the things that they're good at. I'm like, huh. But to be able to like talk about VG and working with another company where it's not all about like, well, fuck, now I'm going to sell 10 less t-shirts because, you know, VG's taking them or vice versa. You're like, you know, it'd be cool, dudes.
Yeah, I mean, dude, here's the thing. Well, and like on top of that, the world of the internet is there's endless supply of clientele.
Right, endless.
So the second you just put that mind, you know, that in your brain, I don't care what they're doing. I'm more intrigued on certain shit, but there's some stuff that I know through the grapevine that they do that I don't rock with.
Right.
Cool. But their brand's dope, and not to be talking about them the whole time. I'm just giving a reference of like, even the Black Rifle, we've been in contact with some of the dudes over there. Like, dude, those guys are great. They just fucking do funny ass shit that they're doing. Like Caleb, one of the dudes with Black Rifle, he's worn Iron and Ink stuff. He, you know, talks to Alec all the time on social, and it's like, you know, it's cool, man. Like they're doing a great thing. They got a good product, and like, you know, we're very pro-military, and one of the dudes that's in the brand is ex-military, and it's like, you know, we're all about that, you know, supporting our troops and what we do. Now, do we go like gun-ho, like let's get political? No, because what I think a big problem is where people need to watch what they're fucking doing is that these platforms that we have, that we're so lucky to have, are liberal run entities. So what you do is don't get canceled like a dumb shit, and then get your whole business removed. Because it's like, when you start doing that stuff, it's like, dude, we get it, but there's a tactful, tasteful way of doing it. You know, we've done pictures of Alec, you know, in his, you know, old flashback pics when he was in his military shit.
I saw that one,
like for Veterans Day, and people just love it. They're like, oh shit, these are a veteran-owned brand. I'm like, sure, you can call us that, but we don't tag that as like our thing. But man, by all means, we support, you know, anyone who sacrifices their life for this country. And again, that even rocks with why we moved to Florida, bro. Like, I see fucking more American flags in this state, which it feels really good, man. And just people being social, and it's cool. I think the best part that people need to realize it here, though, is that it doesn't matter what side you're on. People in Florida are accepting of, oh, that's what you believe? That's cool, but I'm doing this. But we can still hang out and be buddies. I'm like, that's freedom. That's what it is.
Feels like it should be that way everywhere, yet it's not.
But the cool thing is, like, I think, but that's tying it all in with the entrepreneurship, right? It was like, there was that point where you get the pushback and you're like, this doesn't taste right. And then you just go, okay, no one's going to make the decision for me, so I have to do it. Just like starting the brand, just like doing everything, right? Like, you just got to do it on your own, man, and go from there.
Oh, man, and you've been killing it. So, I mean, I thank you for your time. I know you're busy as fuck. You got, you know, 20 million irons in the fire and kids and a wife running around. But, dude, you know, again, the point of the podcast being living life on your own terms. And I think, you know, throughout the course of the last hour plus, you really put some, you know, some stamps on things that That's what it is. It's being able to make the decisions to do the things that you want to do, that benefit you, that make you happy, that put a smile on your face, that create everlasting relationships, and keeps the ball moving forward. I think that life can get stagnant, and we talked about that kind of in the beginning, where you get stuck in the circle and you're kind of going through the motions, and a lot of people are living that way, and that's okay. There's hamsters need to, turn the wheels. I mean, it's just the ebb and flow of life. But those who are living life on their own terms, the pirate way, are going out and doing awesome things and creating and evolving and then perhaps by, osmosis, but by your brand being out there and somebody wearing your hoodie and somebody wearing your hat, it spreads to other people. And maybe somebody sees a hoodie and they're like, dude, I like this, but I would change this. And maybe it inspires them to become an entrepreneur. It inspires them to reach out and say, hey, like, dude, thanks for what you do.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's cool when I think curiosity is the win, man. Just be a curious individual, ask a lot of questions, and find out what you like. Because it took a long time for me to really figure out what I wanted. But by doing all the things from playing music to being in the fitness industry, landed or created the brand, Iron and Ink. So it came from a culmination of things that I tried over my I guess, growing up and starting a business. So it's a good feeling, man. So
yeah, man. And I think and don't be scared. Like, don't be fearful of, that curiosity. It can be frightening. You'd be like, what if I have to, but I have to learn how to, when we first put our first beard oil together, I'm like, we can do this like outside of like Johnson & Johnson or, whomever, like we can actually make this stuff. Well, if we can make this, we can make anything. Like, once you get over that fear of, because everything has that barrier that comes up, like, like starting an apparel company, like there's going to be things.
I mean, dude, you're right. The barrier though is in your own fucking head.
100%.
And that's the funny part is like, we're looking at things right now to tie in with the brand of like starting our own energy drink, business with Iron and Ink as like, and we're looking at, possibly getting into coffee world or some type of a beverage, right? Because we're heavy consumers of energy drinks. And I'm like, I love what they're doing. I hate this shit. I dislike this. This is why, and it's like, if you're passionate about it and it correlates well with what you do as this business, it's like, it's that organic, that makes sense. Right. And so, there's a lot of cool things, but it's also like, just start pounding down doors. And then like, what's the worst? The biggest thing is like getting your LLC with a trademark, like trademarking your shit.
Right.
So then you own it. But then after that, it's kind of like, dude, you can kind of do whatever you want, Right. It just comes to like, like you said, you're building a product. It probably has to, pass certain guidelines. My dad worked in the pharmaceutical world for years, so he did supplements, and there has to be certain standards or guidelines. But besides that, man, he's like, it gets pushed in a bin out of a company in the middle of a field in, Wisconsin, and they're just mass producing it, whatever. So
shipping it nationwide. Hey, brother.
Absolutely.
Hey, man, thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. You and I both understand that the time is a valuable thing. Sometimes it's more valuable than currency itself, but to take some time out to be a part of the show, man, it means a lot to me, and I can't wait. I mean, I love Christmas. I love it. It's great. It's very pretty. The snow falls down. But, man, when we fucking leave here on the 2nd of January, I'm excited to come down and see you.
Bro, yeah, it'll be fun, man. We'll hang. We'll got to bring you through the office and then come by the crib. And man, I'm excited to hang, meet the rest of the fam. And I really appreciate your time. Thanks, dude.
No, man. Anytime. Best of luck and enjoy the holidays. And we'll check in with you after the first of the year, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for listening from the Captain's Quarters podcast. Please make sure you subscribe on whichever podcast platform you are listening. Also, leave us a review, 5 stars preferably. If you got anything out of this, please share the podcast with those who you think would benefit from this type of entertainment. Please make sure to check out CaptainCoops.com for all things related to the From the Captain's Quarters podcast.